Awesome.
Because if you leave it on me, it's going to be like a week.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to address it just to you guys then, but to everyone who's going to be tuning in later, my name is Josh Bickle. I am a KW Realtor over in Oshawa, Durham area, so I'm your referral source. If you are heading out that way, that is my payment for doing this today, is just refer me all of your business. Like all of it. Like the guys you have right now working with, you can refer those to me too. I'm joking, keep them. I build my business mainly off and through Command. I've been using Command for a little over a year and a half, since it was in its absolute infancy stages where you couldn't even properly import contacts yet. And now my team, which is myself, 2 administrators, and 2 buyers agents, we run mainly through Command. And mainly through, I mean, the only outside CRM that I use outside of Command is BombBomb. What I am going to be discussing with you guys today is building a long-term business with Command and the ads that it can provide as a main stable part of your business model. Now, why I refer to today as building a long-term business in using Command is understanding that internet lead generation is not a low-hanging fruit game. This is not a short-term game. This is about building long-term, sustainable, and predictable business. If you are hoping to, you go on all the Facebook pages, you see all the results of all of these leads coming in. If you are hoping for this to become a main pillar of building immediate business, then you are going to have to expend quite a lot of money to be able to go through and find the low-hanging fruit that can make this consistent in the short term. If you use this as an I want to be able to build a sustainable business within the next 12 to 16 months, then online lead generation and strong follow-up is an absolute path that you're going to take, and it will be a lot easier on your wallet. So I want to show you a little bit about some of the results that I'm getting. What I'm not going to be doing today is going deep diving into the how-tos. So like I'm not going to be going through the step-by-step process of creating an ad. I'm going to give you the tips of why my ads are so effective, what I do to bring them in. But there are just so many free resources that you have that you can reach out there. Command Your Canada, Command Your Conversion. Nick Baldwin, a tech trainer out in Detroit, or in Michigan, runs a fantastic intro to Command class that is completely 100% free. KWRI has resources for you. We have our own tech trainers here in Ontario that they can get into the how-to with you. I want to get into the agent stuff in building the long-term business. But I do like to put my money where my mouth is and show the level of results that we're having just in capturing and bringing in leads. We're going to talk about what those campaigns look like, how we're phrasing them. Then we're going to go into talking about how we're communicating with those leads when they come into our world, to try and get more information, to try and become more powerful in our follow-up, and also to still try and find those low-hanging fruits that will provide us business in the next 3 to 6 months. And then we're going to talk about how they exist in our system and in our world over the long term. And when I say the long term, when people enter my system, they are followed up with until one of 3 things happen. Either we choose to do business together, which is great, and then they're still going to go back into my system and be followed up with in a different way. They unsubscribe from my system, which we have to provide them the ability to do, or they get a hold of me and tell me to go do things I'm not physically capable of doing to myself, in which case I will remove them from my system myself, because who wants to be involved with someone like that? So let's start at the crux of it, how we are generating leads. So this is a huge part of my business, and I want to show you, I do a lot of experimental leads, experimental campaigns. So if you're looking at some of my campaigns and going, that doesn't look that's good, remember, I do a ton of experimenting out there, like virtual listing appointments, virtual buyer appointments, really, really overpriced places. So I go, this is our typical campaign though. So as you can see right here, this is one where I spent $60. We generated 126 opportunities for conversation, or about 48 cents per lead. If I go down and look at my non-test campaigns, that's the kind of thing you're going to see. $80 spent, 44 cents per lead. You're at $38 spent, 57 cents per lead, 44 cents per lead, 71 cents per lead, 26 cents per lead, 61 cents per lead. So those are the kind of typical results that I'm having when I go through the method that I'm about to show you right now. And I want to show you that we're not doing anything spectacular and that we have thought about this a lot. It's taken a year of really refining, and prior to the year of doing this inside of Command, I was in online lead generation for 4 years prior to that. So I have 5 years of online lead generation experience as one of the main pillars of my business, which is why I'm so confident talking about why it can lead to a sustainable business model. But I want to walk through this and the best practices for it and why I do it. So first of all, let's get and start at the picture that you're going to use. Or actually, sorry, let's roll that back even farther. And when you're advertising online to build your business, this is the only thing that I want you to think about. Advertise a listing. Advertise a listing. Advertise a listing. If I get one question in the chat, if I get one question or email with someone asking me this later of, what if I want to find listings? I want to find listers. I want to find people who are looking to listing their house. This is going to be my answer. Advertise a listing. Do not advertise things like, do you want to find out the value of your house? Do you want to see what comparable houses are selling in your area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I'm just going to put it out there. Those are low effective ads. They do not bring in a better or more high quality client. They bring in the exact same people who are going to click on a listing ad. They're just going to bring in less of them. If you want to find listing clients, or if you want to find buyer clients, or if you want the magical one where you're going to find clients who are going to do both with you, then advertising a listing. A listing solves a pain point. If you want someone to sell their house and move, show them a house that they can purchase. If you want someone to buy your house, show them a house that they can purchase. It's a resolution of a pain point, and will just bring you more interest. The more people you have in your system, the more people entering you have entering your life, in your sphere, in your business's world, the more opportunities there are for long-term follow-up and to create a sustainable long-term business model from it. Gary Keller has let us know that every 100 people that are in our database that we have good, solid relationships and connections with, that is an opportunity for 10 deals a year. So we want to bring people into our life, follow up with them, build those relationships, and build those connections. Because if you can get your database to 1,000 people, that is in my region, that is $1 million business. It's actually less. It's more like 925 people in our database is $1 million a year sustainable, predictable business. And that's what we're trying to get to through this. So let's look at the ad itself. As I said, I'm advertising a listing, and that's where I want to go. What I'm going to use for the photo is I'm going to use one singular front photo of the house. Please do not put multiple photos. Do not carousel. Do not use the inside of the house. And here are the reasons why you don't want to do that. When you're using multiple photos, you're giving people more of an opportunity to not like something about the house and not click on it, or you're giving people enough opportunity to look at it and feel that they've seen enough and they don't need to move forward with actually clicking on your ad and getting the information. When you're putting just the front photo out, you're enticing people, you're having them look at it and go, okay, that's the kind of house that I'm looking for. You know, I'm looking for that 2-story detached home. So now I want to see what the rest of the pictures are with it. There was an old school internet lead generation method that used to be in existence, and it was hold information about the house back. And then what people will do is they'll want to click and give their information because they want to find the information about the house out. That is the original method of online lead generation. That method is going downhill and downhill fast. People are wise to what you're doing. They know what you're doing about it, and they don't want to deal with it. What people are okay with is if you give the information up front, which is the next part we're talking about, but withhold the pictures, they're okay because they like everything else that they're seeing. They know the price, They know the stats about the house. You've told a beautiful story about the house. So yes, now I'm interested and I want to see the pictures about this house. And yes, I am now willing to give you my contact information in order to see those pictures. You will find that doing it this way is far better. So that brings me to my next point. Disclose the area that your house is in and disclose the price of your house. You do not actually need to disclose the 3+1 bedroom or the bedroom and bathrooms. And if you are, please do not put it in the ad copy up here, because that is basic MLS stuff that when you send them to a landing page, they're gonna find out anyway. You are wasting your ad space by putting it there, because that stuff is not as important in the overall vision of things. But absolutely, with 100% certainty, if you want to get the best relationships with clients, you want to declutter your Facebook with comments like, what's the price, what's the price, what's the price? And you want to simply just get better qualified people, then add the price of your house. Because people will then be able to judge if they're following the market well enough, based on the house that you put from the front photo and based on this price, if it's something that they're going to be interested in. And you're just going to create a higher quality of people. Please, for the love of everything, do not withhold the price. That is very, very, very much an old, outdated way of thinking and does not create good relationships or good customer relationships that will create a long, sustainable business. So the next part we're going to talk about is the most important part of your ad, and that's the ad copy. That's what's positioned right here. Now, I want to talk a little bit here about what I do. So I try to tell either a story about the area, or I try to tell a story about something in the house that's been renovated or that's nice or that would entice people to look. Basically what I want to do is I want to dangle a carrot and make people like it. I do not want to just regurgitate MLS stats. That's the worst thing that you can do here. So on, for example, this one, which is not the greatest one, but there wasn't a lot to go with. Time to invest in North Oshawa. Main floor is stunning. Upstairs bathroom renoed. Great backyard and unbeatable location. That right there is enough to entice people to go, oh, okay, what is so stunning about the main floor? I want to see that upstairs bathroom. Like, what kind of renos did they do? Amazing backyard. Okay, we're in the city. We're in Oshawa. It's really rare to find an amazing backyard. I want to see that in the unbeatable location. Okay, you know, I want to have talk. It entices people. It's a carrot. And then I always do it with a close down. Click below for more information. Whatever you want to put there, I always do it with a close down. This is not going to be a long process. You want to keep this basically 220 characters, absolute maximum that you want to go into on this kind of ad. Now, the other important part in here that you'll see is my emojis. Believe it or not, these actually play an important role in the ad. So the human psyche, when they're looking at something, they tend to just glance over this and they're going to read every third to fourth word is what's going to happen. If I interrupt the flow of your reading with a symbol that forces your brain to stop and process what it just read. So instead of my brain auto-scanning it all and getting two pieces of information, I'm going to auto-scan this. This little clapping hand will force me to stop, and I will probably retain the important pieces of this information. Invest, North Oshawa, because those are where time, invest, North, and Oshawa. That is what is going to be retained here. If I go to the next one, main floor, stunning. That is what's going to be retained here. Upstairs, bathroom, renoed. That entire thing is going to be there. Great backyard, unbeatable location. That entire part is going to be retained. This is to literally trick the mind into reading your entire thing and retaining all of the important information that is in there. It isn't just to make my ad look pretty. This is a mental, it's a psychic trick that it'll just trick the mind and allow people to retain more information. And if they retain more information about it, they're going to be more likely to click on the ad and go through and want to see what there is next because you actually fed them more information than anything else that is popping up on their feed. You activated and engaged their mind more. So that is how we kind of get those people engaged and get them clicking on our ad and submitting the information. Why doing it through command in Facebook is so powerful is when this ad is running, first of all, Facebook only, because if you go down your Facebook, if you were to go to your Facebook timeline right now and scroll down it, every third post is an ad. That is how it works. It's timeline, 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 ad, timeline, 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 ad, timeline, 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 ad. So Facebook has already trained you to just be accepting of ads. The other part in there is when someone through command clicks on this ad, what's going to happen is a pop-up screen is going to come in front of them. And their name, email, and phone number are going to be auto-populated in that with the information that they've given to Facebook. They then only have to click next to submit that information to you, and then it automatically populates into their database. They do not have to physically input that information themselves. Now, they can go edit and change the information that's there, but they do not have to physically input it. After they click that, another pop-up screen is going to happen with our privacy statement and our use of information statement. When they click that, you are getting permission to contact them. And that is absolutely huge. And I'm telling you right now, 0 people read that. I can tell you from phone conversations that I've had with people that 0 people read that. But the only impediment is 2 clicks. Instead of them having to sign in everything, agree to policy terms and policy statements and everything like that, they need to click 1 button twice. And then their information comes to you. That makes an absolutely vast increase in how many people are actually going to come into your life doing it this way. And it's going to reduce the cost of those people coming into your life in a dramatic fashion. So now I want to move to this part and talking a little bit about understanding the metrics of what's working and what's not working. So when I'm looking here, what I'm seeing is this is how many impressions that I have and the cost per certain amount of impressions. I don't look at the cost per impressions. I'm curious about the impressions I have. If I have a high amount of impressions coming out, then I know that my ad is getting in front of a lot of people. But my impressions is not as important. Clicks becomes my first measurable piece of importance, and particularly my clicks to impressions ratio. I want to look at that. So my clicks to impressions ratio, what this is telling me is if I'm sitting at anywhere between 17% or above impressions or clicks to impressions ratio, it means that people are actually engaging in my post at a very, very, very high level. They're clicking on it and they want to see it. Now, that doesn't mean they're submitting their information, but I've given them enough information that they actually want to see what's next. They're curious. They've said, okay, I'm going to click. I want to go see the photos. So that is good. If you have a very, very low, this one is actually under my normally allowed click to impressions ratio, but because it was producing leads at a massive rate, I don't care. And it has a high amount of impressions, where if you see here, this is more in line with where I want to be. This one's low, but I also underperformed there in general. This one is really, really low, but at 24,000 people and 183 leads, like I'm not going to complain about that. But it's a first ratio. If I have a very high impression rate, and say this was sitting at like 500, 600, 700, 800 clicks, something like that, then what that is telling me is that my ad, the copy that I've put in place is ineffective. Either the photo was just bad or the ad copy that I wrote didn't entice people enough to want to click on my ad and move forward. So it means I know I need to go back and revamp what I'm doing. The second part that I'm looking at is the leads that have come in to my click ratio. Here, If I am performing at anything above a 6%, unless again, I just have a ton of leads coming in, then it doesn't matter. If I'm performing at anything above 6%, then I am extremely happy. I see so many posts go up on social media and everything like that where they're like, I don't believe my ad is performing. Can you tell me why? You know, I've been running my ad for this amount of time and I haven't got any leads. And the amount of clicks on their ad is at like 70 and they've only gotten 2 leads in, and it's because the amount of clicks on their ad is 70. It's because no one is clicking on their ad. So it has nothing to do with command not performing. It has everything to do with you. As hard as that is to hit, it took me months and months of getting it right to figure that out. That the ad that I'm running or the house that I'm selling just is not enticing people. You will find this, and this is going to be more important for you guys in Toronto, that if you are running condos, your leads are going to be less. Condo buildings, condo ads do not excite people. Your buyer pool is smaller, your excitement pool is smaller. Be prepared that your cost is going to be higher. If I'm running a detached, semi-detached home, anything like that, I'm expecting between 40 cents and 60 cents per lead. If I'm running a condo, I am okay with anywhere between $1 and $1.50 per lead coming in, because that is the vast difference between it. So be prepared for that. Now, when it comes to tracking everything, this is what I really want to encourage you to do when you're coming back. I see everyone create tracking numbers, and I can talk about my tracking numbers where I know I need this many leads to come in order to secure something. But those leads that number becomes very high. And it can become very discouraging. Just like, you know, when you're talking about door knocking numbers, I know if I spend this much time and I talk to this many people and add this many people to my database, that I will eventually get this much business from it. Because I can put a monetary amount to this, what I have preferred to say is I spend this much money to generate this much commission. So in my business, I know for every $150 that I spend inside of Command, the odds are that I will generate about $12,000 in commission out of that minimum in the next year. When I look at that, $150 spent for $12,500, that keeps me motivated and more likely to come back, because you are taking those ratios all day long. And if you're telling me you're not, then you probably don't take referrals either, because we normally pay 25, 30% out on a referral. I'm going to take $150 on a referral every day. And I'm sure your average commission is a lot higher than my average commission too. So that makes it even better. So that's a little bit about the tracking and how we do the Facebook there. I will save questions on everything for the end. So if you want to type a question now that's in your mind into the chat, I will come back to it at the end, but I want to make sure we get through all of this content first. So next thing I'm going to move over to is smart plans. So this is when people enter our world. Before we jump fully into the smart plans, I want to quickly go through what we are doing when someone comes into our world initially. So that first contact, because that first set of contacts are the only things that I don't have automated. If you are using Command Facebook ads, please make sure you go onto the App Store and download Kelly. If you have Kelly on your phone and connected, you will get a notification directly to your phone whenever someone comes into your system. And that's important. Because what we're doing when someone comes into our system is, for every ad, we craft an email that we have saved in our own emails. And that email actually links them directly to the MLS listing. So we send them a manual email out that simply says, you know, thank you for checking out our listing on whatever street. I wanted your feedback, so then that way I can provide some... I wanted to get your feedback, so that way I can pass that on to my seller, and it will help me in the process of selling this house. You are looking at houses all the time online, I am sure, so your feedback will be invaluable in helping us get this sold. In case you forgot what houses it is, please click here, and this is a link to the MLS listing. If you have any questions about this house, please feel free to reach out to me and I want to answer them. Thank you so much and have a fantastic day. The important part about that is the way that I followed up with them, with that email that comes in, is not in any way me trying to close them on whatever it is that they're looking for. I am coming at them from a sales of the house standpoint. And when I make my phone call to them, which is the other part that's going to come right after that, is I'm going to call them. And I'm not a big, I'm not a speed to lead guy. I call people on my time. I have it scheduled in my business during my day. It's time blocked. So we call them on our time. Speed to lead, I honestly believe, is fully dead. So we call them and we're phrasing it the exact same way. Hey, this is Josh calling from Keller Williams Energy Real Estate Brokerage. I just saw that you were checking out our listing on 123 Main Street on Facebook, and I wanted to ask what you thought about it. It is, again, it's coming from getting that feedback from the seller. And there's two for the seller. And this is even if I'm advertising someone else's listing. And the reason we're doing that is twofold. First of all, we create a more comfortable conversation with the person on the other end of the phone. We're not coming at them with immediate sales techniques. We're not coming at them with immediately trying to close them down and find out what they're trying to purchase and everything like that. We're creating a relationship and we're coming from a place where we're asking for their help. And I double down on it. If I get, oh, sorry, I was just looking, we're just not interested, or we're not interested, we were just looking, anything like that, I'm like, oh, that's okay. I get it that most people who are looking at Facebook ads are not actually looking to purchase that home right away, but you're probably looking at a lot of homes. Would you agree that you are looking or you're seeing a lot of homes online right now? 90% of the time, your answer is going to be yes. That's fantastic. That makes your information, your feedback so much more valuable. If I get a realtor's feedback, they're just going to feed me a couple of lines because they want to set me up to try and lowball me on my home. But you're going to give me honest feedback about what you think about the house, and I can pass that on to my seller, and that will make their day, and it will help us so much more in the selling process. So now you've made them special. You've made them feel included and part of your process. And they're going to be more inclined to have that conversation with you because, again, you didn't sell at them. You're not putting pressure on them to do anything. The other important part about that is if this person has a listing, this was your first audition to list their house, and you just passed with flying colors. Because any other agent they called is coming at them for the sale. You've done your job, and your entire part is trying to get that information. Now they're going to start telling you what they thought about that house, and that's perfect because what they thought they liked and disliked about that house is probably also going to be in line with what it is they're looking for in the next house that they move into. So you've now started your buyer's consultation and you are capable of taking those notes and starting to solve their pain point without them even knowing it. And then you can go into full scripts where you're going through that to try and, they give you the information. Okay, well, what would your ideal house look like if you were moving tomorrow? And you can start then solving their pain points bit by bit by bit. I will send our full call scripts to Daniela after this. So then that way she can share them out with us. So if you were trying to write all that down, I'll provide our full call scripts and what we're doing to convert when we're on the phone. But it's just really important to follow that. Then in comes the automated part of everything, and using smart plans is huge for that. So first, we have our online lead conversion smart plan. So when we're done our call attempt and when we're done our email attempt, we're then adding them on to a smart plan. Previously, I have been sending out my smart plan. I'm actually not sending out this smart plan anymore because it's so important with smart plans and the way we do business today, that you customize these smart plans to reflect the voice of your business. If you take my smart plan, copy it exactly and run it out, and then someone has a conversation with you, the voice that it is connected with is not going to be the same. And it's going to basically be like a catfish. So you really should be creating your own content in your smart plan. I'm going to give you the top tips of it though. Your smart plan should be no more than 3 weeks long. You'll see 31 days here, but the end of my smart plan, I delay it 10 days after the content has come through, and then it automatically places them on another smart plan. So that's why it's 31 days. What you should have is 21 days of follow-up, and in those 21 days, there should be 12 touch attempts. And it's gonna go something like this. So you add them to your smart plan, you have them. So the smart plan starts the next day. The next day, it's going to send them a text. Then it's going to delay a day. Then it's going to send them an email. And then you're going to start doing a 2-day delay. And then it's going to rotate between a text and an email. And at the midway point, you're going to make a phone call. And then it's going to delay and start doing a text and an email until you've reached that final email, delay 10 days, and then you're going to add them on to your next follow-up plan, whatever that is in your business, whether it be, a midterm nurture, a long-term nurture. I'm going to go over a little bit about some of the things that I use to follow up with, but it's about keeping that automation and that going. I automate my texts by linking a Twilio account into Command. I get a couple thousand texts a month for like $30, and it's fantastic. It's a very low cost way and takes some of the pressure off you in doing the follow-up. Here's where your important part that you're going to want to do with the content that you create in here. You are going to want to have value in every single piece of your content. Don't just go asking for things. Every little piece better be sharing some sort of value back to them or some reason for them to engage back with you. Whether it be sharing market stats with them, whether it be offering them a buyer's guide, offering them a seller's guide, whether it be sending them a set of listings, making them an offer. Something like, hey, I was just about to pop online and look at a list of houses that reduced price in the last week. Would you like to see that? One of the great ones that I have is this one here. I use my website. I create a home search list for homes on my website through my search engine under 550,000, so it auto-populates. I take that link and I embed it in my email and just say, hey, I want to connect and send this over to you. It's a list of homes under 550,000 right now. Would you like me to connect you with a customized search for a home, or maybe you'd like to be connected with one of our buyer's guides? So I provided them with a value, and then I offered them something that they would have to contact me back in order to access. And you want to kind of continue with things like that. The other thing you can do in here, especially during a COVID period, is you can kind of include care into this. So, for example, one of the ones that I have, so, would you be interested in jumping on a virtual call today? We can chat about the market, your future plans, or anything else. Just thought you might want to see there is a face on the other end of this messages, or that a person to talk to might be a fresh change of pace. Just very much a care call. Here's another one. I know what we are thinking, would this guy just buzz off? But right now, no, many are like me. They would love someone to talk to. So I thought maybe you'd like to jump on a phone call today to chat about anything you like. It's not about locking down business. It's about creating the connection. And that's really huge. That is really important. But it's also huge because I'm automating all of this. And when you have hundreds of people coming into your database each week, you need to have a level of automation in there, especially when we start to look at things like this. So let me look through some of my other smart plans here. When people finish my online lead conversion smart plan, if I haven't connected with them, they go on what is called my unknown prospect type. So this means I haven't connected with them. I don't know who they are. This one is a 2-step program. It adds them onto the first phase of my buyer program and the first phase of my seller's program 7 days later. So what's going to end up happening with them? My buyer's program, every other week, it will send them an email that is related to buying a house. My sellers program does the same thing. It will send them an email every other week that is related to selling a house. If I don't know what they are, then they get put on both, and every week they're going to get an alternate. Buy a house, sell a house, buy a house, sell a house, buy a house, sell a house, buy a house, sell a house. To make these, I literally simply went online, looked up tips for buying, looked up tips for selling, and created 26 emails, just putting those tips into my own words. And then intermingled some of mine, and then intermingled a couple of, ask for the appointments, ask for the opportunities. And one in each quarter, there's also a phone call put in there as well for me to actually give them a call. This goes through, so when they're done phase 1, they automatically move to phase 2, they automatically move to phase 3, they automatically move to phase 4, and then restart at phase 1. So as soon as they're on one of these plans, they never leave it. And I can just go back and edit the content that's in there every year if I think I need to change it up. But honestly, if it's the same buyer's content, because I'm not sending them out direct market information, it doesn't matter, because odds are they're probably not going to remember the exact same email that I sent them a whole entire year later. And if they do, those are fantastic clients with an amazing memory. Or so, I don't know what you want to take away from that. But I kind of go through it that way, and that keeps them in there. If you don't have the time to build your own smart plans, you don't have to worry about it. The library here in Command has a ton of smart plans. You can put them on midterm nurtures, long-term nurtures, monthly neighborhood updates if you can get an address, whatever it is that you want to do, quarterly call plans. I advise anyone you have a phone number for that you put on a quarterly call plan and you try to call 4 times a year. That is massively important for relationship building and for long-term conversion rates. So you're definitely going to want to do that. Now, the effect of doing this, here are my numbers. We know every single month in our system, by our online lead generation methods, we will guarantee find 2 to 3 people who will do business within the next 3 to 6 months. That's every single month. That is guaranteed. Our follow-up systems, now some of these follow-up systems are new. We just moved over to a new set of follow-up systems out of some of our older systems. But our online follow-up system numbers show that out of the people that we bring in every single month, if I take away the 2 to 3 that we will do in the next 3 to 6 months and look at the long-term vision of it, which is 12 to 16 months, those same people that we brought in that 1 month will produce another 4 to 6 deals somewhere between that 12-month and that 16-month period. Which means I know that if I do this for an entire year and a half, which we're at now, and the only reason it's pushed back right now a little bit is because of COVID kind of throwing a wrench in everything. But we were just tracking and we were just hitting it. We will consistently, off of Facebook lead generation, do 4 to 6 deals every single month consistently for the remainder of our time in business, unless we figure out how to ramp that up even farther. So our online Facebook lead generation will produce my business $1 million a year business. Would have been hitting it, very close to hitting it this year if it wasn't for COVID, but it will produce that, and it has the potential to produce that with long-term follow-up, long-term follow-up, long-term follow-up. It will produce a predictable business model to whatever it is. Those are my numbers. Your numbers might be different depending on your spend and your follow-up systems and your conversion rates, but that is ours. And I spend a grand total of $200 a month on Facebook, and $300 a month on Facebook, and about $35 a month on my follow-up systems. So for $335 a month, I will build $1 million business consistently using this model. That is one of the most powerful long-term business models that you can come up with. And this has not offset the way that we do other parts of our business. This has just become our one thing and a key part of our pillar. So that, in a nutshell, is how you build and use Facebook, use Command to build your long-term business models. So now I will open it up to questions. I need to get to the chat to see if any came down before. None did. It's just you, Michael. So if you have a question, I will answer it. If not, then you ask someone, if you don't have any listings, ask someone in your office for a listing. Ask if you can advertise their listing. I do that all the time. I don't always have 4 listings. A lot of this does produce buyers. It's not always going to grab, you're not always going to grab sellers. So if you don't have a listing, just ask someone in your office to advertise their house. If you get permission to advertise a listing from another brokerage, you absolutely can advertise a listing from another brokerage. You just need that brokerage's permission. I do that as well. I specifically love to target Toronto agents who are listing houses up here. Don't be a Toronto agent and list your house up here. I'm watching. I don't list houses in your backyard. Yeah, but just reach out and ask. If you have any other questions, Mike, does this? Yeah, every click screen automatically comes up. Yeah, when they're going through that Facebook portion, they click the first one, it submits, and then it automatically pops up with the second one. They submit, and then it sends them to the landing page that you've created or that you've linked or whatever way you want to do that. That all depends on how you have it set up. So how you have your Twilio account set up. So my Twilio account is connected to have one phone number, and I've paid the $1 a month to create a localized phone number out of it. So all of the texting comes from that one particular number, and then that one particular number, it actually automatically adds the note inside of Command, and I can actually text them from inside of the database as well. So yeah, it all comes from one number. My entire team operates off of that one number. I am still sending bomb messages still, but I am cognizant of how the market has been, how COVID is. So for the purpose of doing these trainings and everything like that, I have put it with not having to use, I'm teaching it and how you do it this way without having to use an additional $700 some odd a year outside resource. But I will personally not get rid of the bomb. Any other questions that I can answer for you? Awesome.
Thank you so much, Josh.
No problem. Feel free to send the recording out to all of your people.
Absolutely. I'm so sorry we didn't have a good turnout.
That's okay. I mean,
I feel so bad.
I'm just gonna throw shade out there. You know, my local peeps here didn't show up for me, but when I go to New Jersey and Texas and everything like that, they fill a 1,000-person call. So that's on the recording. I'm throwing shade at you, Toronto. We're supposed to support our local peeps.
I'm not
Gosh,
going
I'll
to cut
give
it out.
everybody at my office, a what for, because we talk about you a lot, because a lot of us follow you. So thank you.
Right, exactly.
It's all good. It means a lot of you have probably been through this. You're on Commander Canada. You've seen my face a lot or heard my voice a lot. I don't mind. The recording will help. This is a little bit different than how I've trained it out before. And anyone who's watching this later, if you got anything from it, then I'm happy. So.
And Josh, question for you: have you shared any of your text messages or emails that you're doing for your smart plans, or should you really recommend us building our own, towards our own personalities?
I have shared them before, and what I get all the time is I get people coming back to me saying, they're not working for me, and then I jump on a call and I have a conversation with them, and it simply boils down to they're getting the responses, but then the conversations become short, because as soon as you change from talking my way to talking your way, if we speak in a different way, then the engagement falls off. And when even through text message, your personality can really, really shine through in the way that you communicate. So I think it's extraordinarily important to really put your own flavor on there. I don't mind sharing them out for content ideas, but I cannot stress more. I cannot stress enough that it is so important to take that and put the way that you speak into it, the way that you would communicate with a client into it. Showing your personality is everything right now. And actually, if you want quick access to them, if you go to the Command Your Canada page, in the document section, my scripting calls, my call scripts, and also my smart plan, my online lead follow-up smart plans are both there. And they're already uploaded and available for anyone who wants to look at them.
Great, I'm on that page, so I'll have a look. Thank you, Josh.
Awesome, no problem.
What are your thoughts on, and we've had some conversations with some of the team at our office about the importance of phone calls versus texts. You
have to have both.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I do. I want at least, when they come in, I'm making the call. And I'm doing at least one call during that follow-up. The rest I'm fine communicating with text, but you have to attempt to make that call, particularly and especially if you're not using BombBomb or something like that, because that means you've never had the opportunity to touch all of the senses. And to really create the engagement and the connection. Almost every single person that we still get on the phone, our relationship is better with. So even when we're doing our text, we're still trying to get a phone call with them. Or a phone call, a Zoom call, or whatever it is where we can get face-to-face and you really have the opportunity to showcase yourself and who you are. You can do it purely by text and you can do it purely by email. And I think it's important, especially today's age, you're probably going to make your initial contacts via text is the most likely way you're going to make it. But if you don't make an attempt to build some level of phone call in there, unless the client expressly says that they do not want to talk on the phone, and then you're off the hook. But it's massive, especially during this time. A phone call right now to people who are still in isolation or locked up or, can't leave their house or whatnot has such a more massive impact now than it ever has before. When we get back to a more normalized market, maybe the importance of the phone call actually diminishes a little bit, because busy lives and lives that are trying to catch up will reignite, and then text, I think, will become even more prevalent and more important, but I would still be trying to get a phone call in there.
I agree. That's great. I think that's it for questions for me.
Awesome. All right, then. If we've got nothing else, I'm going to go follow up with leads.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Josh.
No problem. You guys have a fantastic day.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.